Welcome all to the course of Data Communication Networking, BE 7th semester, Electronics and Communication Engineering. We are discussing a network layer. In the previous session, we have discussed an address mapping ARP protocol. We continue our discussion with the same address mapping. Another point in which a mapping a physical to the logical addresses, in which three protocol to be discussed over here: RARP, BOOTP and DHCP. So first understand the mapping of physical to the logical addressing. There are occasions in which a host knows its physical address but needs to know its logical address. This may happen in a two cases. First, a diskless station is just booted. The station can find its physical address by checking its interface, but it does not know its IP address. Second case, an organization does not have an enough IP address to assign each station. It needs to assign IP address on demand. The station can send this physical address and ask for the short time lease. So in these two cases, this phenomena is used. First is RARP. So RARP is the acronym of Reverse Address Resolution Protocol. It finds the logical address of a machine that knows only its physical address. Each host or router is assigned one or more logical or IP addresses which are unique and independent of the physical address of the machine. To create an IP datagram, a host or a router needs to know its own IP address or address. The IP address of a machine is usually read from its configuration file stored on a disk file. However, a diskless machine is usually booted from the ROM, which has a minimum booting information. The ROM is installed by a manufacturer. It cannot include the IP address because an IP address on the network are assigned by the network administrator. The machine can get its physical address by reading it NIC, which is unique locally. It can then use the physical address to get the logical address by using the RARP protocol. The RARP request is created and broadcast on the local network. Another machine on the local network that knows all the IP address will respond to the RARP reply. The corresponding requesting machine must be running in a RARP client program, and the responding machine must be reading in a RARP server program. There is a serious problem with RARP. Broadcasting is done at the data link layer. The physical broadcast address, all ones in the case of Ethernet, does not pass the boundaries of the network. This means that if an administrator has a several network or a several subnet, it needs to assign an RARP server for each network or a subnet. This is the reason that the RARP is almost obsolete. Two protocols, BOOTP and DHCP, are replacing our RARP. So let's discuss a BOOTP. A BOOTP is the acronym of a Bootstrap protocol. It is a client server protocol designed to provide physical address to the logical address mapping. BOOTP is application layer protocol. The administrator may put the client and the server on the same network or a different network. For this, you read this figure. Over here, a BOOTP message encapsulated in a UDP packet, and UDP packet itself encapsulated in a IP packet. You may ask how a client can send a IP datagram when it knows neither its own IP address, source address, nor the server's IP address, the destination address. The client simply uses all zeros as a source address and all ones as a destination address. One of the advantages of BootP over the RARP is that the client and the server are application layer process. As in the another application layer process, a client can be in one network and server in the another, separated by the several other networks. However, there is a one problem that must be solved. The BootP request is broadcast because the client does not know the IP address of a server. A broadcast IP datagram cannot pass through any router. To solve this problem, there is a need of an intermediary. One of the hosts for a router can be configured to operate an application layer can be used as a relay. The host in this case is called as a relay agent. The relay agent knows the unicast address of a BootP server. When it receives this type of a packet, it encapsulates the message in a unicast datagram and sends the request to the BootP server. The packet carrying the unicast destination address is routed by our router and reaches to the BootP server. So you can see this diagram for the same. The BootP server knows the message comes from the relay agent because one of the fields in the request message defines the IP address of a relay agent. The relay agent, after receiving the reply, sends to the BootP client. Fine. So it is very easy to understand. Next is DHCP. A BootP is not a dynamic configuration protocol. When a client requests its IP address, a BootP server consults a table that matches the physical address of the client with the IP address. This implies that the binding between the physical address and the IP address of the client already exists. The binding is predetermined. However, what if a host moves from one physical network to another? Or what if a host wants to temporary IP address? BootP cannot handle this situation because the binding between the physical and the IP address is static and fixed in a table until it changed by the administrator. BootP is a static protocol and static configuration protocol. So, the dynamic host configuration protocol, called as a DHCP, has been devised to provide static and dynamic address allocation that can be mutual or automatic. Fine. So, what is in a static address allocation and the dynamic address allocation? You can see with the help of this discussion. In the capacity of a DHCP acts as a BootP does, as in our static allocation, where in the background it is a background compatible with BootP, which means a host running a BootP client can request a static address from a DHCP server. A DHCP server has a database that statically binds a physical address to the IP address. In the other hand, a dynamic address allocation, our DHCP has a second database with a pool of available IP address. This second database makes a DHCP dynamic. When a DHCP client requests a temporary IP address, the DHCP server goes to the pool of available IP address and assign a IP address for a negotiable period of time. Okay. So what do you mean by manual and automatic configuration? One of the major problems with our BootP protocol is that the table mapping the IP address to the physical address needs to be manually configured. This means that every time there is a change in the physical or IP address, the administrator needs to manually enter the changes. DHCP, on the other hand, allows both mutual as well as automatic configuration. Static address are created manually, where the dynamic address are created automatically. Fine. So it is a completion of DHCP point. Let's go ahead. Next point is ICMP. As discussed in our last session, And last chapter, the IP provides an unreliable and connection-less datagram delivery. It was designed in this way to make an efficient use of network resources. The IP protocol is the best report delivery services that delivers a datagram from its original source to the final destination. However, it has the two deficiencies. First is a lack of error control, and second is a lack of assistance mechanism. The IP protocol has a no error reporting or a no error correcting mechanism. What happens if somebody goes wrong? What happens if a router must discard a datagram because it cannot find a route or a router to the final destination, or because the time to live fields is zero value? What would happen? Or what would happen if a final destination host must discard all fragments of the datagram because it has not received all the fragments within a predetermined time limit? These are the example of a situation where an error has occurred and IP protocol has a no built-in mechanism to notify the original host. The IP protocol also lacks a mechanism for a host and the management's queries. A host sometimes needs to determine if a router or another host is alive, and sometimes a network administrator needs information from other hosts or routers. The Internet Control Message Protocol, called as an ICMP, has been designed to compensate for above these two deficiencies. It is a companion to the IP protocol. In this ICMP, following points to be discussed: type of messages, message format, error reporting and query, and debugging tools. So first is a type of a messages. An ICMP message are divided into the two broad categories: error reporting messages and the query messages. The error reporting messages reports the problem that a router or a host, just like our destination, may encounter when it processes an IP packet. A query message, which occur in a page, help a host or a network manager to get a specific information from the router or another host. For example, nodes can discover their neighbors. Also, hosts can discover and learn about the routers in their network, and router can help a node redirect its message. Message format. An ICMP message has a 8-byte header and variable size data sections. Although the general format of a header different from the each message type, the first 4 bytes are common to all. As you can see in this figure, shows the first field ICMP type, defines the type of the message. The code field specifies the region for the particular message type. The last common field is a checksum field. The rest of the header is specified for the each message type. The data section in the error messaging carries information for finding the original packet that has an error. In a query message, the data section carries an extra information based on the type of the query. Error reporting. One of the main responsibilities of our ICMP is to report errors. Although technology has produced increasingly reliable transmission media, errors still exist and must be handled. IP is an unreliable protocol. This means that error checking and error control are not a concern of IP. ICMP was designed in a part to compensate for this shortcoming. However, ICMP does not concern errors. It simply reports them. Error correction is left to the higher level protocols. Error messages are always sent to the original source because the only information available in the datagram about the route is the source and the destination IP addresses. ICMP user uses the source IP address to send the error message to the source of the datagram. So we can say that an ICMP always report error message to the original source. So it is a error reporting messages type 3, type 4, type 11, type 12, type 5. Type 3 have a destination unreachable error, type 4 have a source quenched error, type 11 have a time exceed, type 12 parameter problems, and type 4 redirection. Following important points about the ICMP error messages are: the no ICMP error message will be generated in the response to the datagram carrying an ICMP error messages. No ICMP error messages will be generated from the fragmented datagram that is not a first fragment. No ICMP error message will be generated for the datagram having a multicast address. And last, the no ICMP error message will be generated for a datagram having a special address such as 27000 or 0000. Note that all error messages contain a data section that include the IP header of the original datagram plus the first 8 bytes of the data in the datagram. The original datagram header is added to the given original sources which receives an error message. Information about the datagram itself. The 8 byte of the data are included because, as we have seen in UDP and TCP protocols, a first 8 byte provide information about the port number UDP and TCP and the sequence number of a TCP. This information is needed so the source can inform the protocol TCP or UDP about the error. ICMP forms an error packet which is then encapsulated in the IP datagram. Fine. So it is a IP datagram. So let's discuss about some error messages. The first, destination unreachable. When a router cannot route a datagram or a host cannot deliver a datagram, the datagram is discarded and the router or the host sends the destination unreachable message back to the source host that initiated a datagram. Note that a destination unreachable message can be created by the either router or a destination host. Second is a source quench. The IP protocol is a connectionless protocol. There is no communication between the source host which produce a datagram and the routers which forward it and the destination host which process it. One of the ramification of this absence of the communication is a lack of flow control. IP does not have a flow control mechanism embedded in the protocol. The lack of the flow control can create a major problem of a operation of IP, just like a congestion. The source host never knows if the router or the destination host has been overwhelmed with the datagrams. The source host never knows if it is producing a datagram faster than that can be forwarded by the routers or processed by the destination host. The lack of the flow control can create a congestion in the router or a destination host. The router or the host has a limited size queue, just like our buffer, for incoming datagrams waiting to be forwarded or to be processed at a destination. If the datagrams are received much faster than they can be forwarded or processed, the queue may be overflow. In this case, a router or the host has no choice but to discard the sum of the datagrams. The source quench message in the ICMP was designed to add a kind of a flow control in the IP. When a router or a host discards the datagram due to the congestion, it sends a source quench message to the sender or the datagram. This message has two purposes. First, it informs the source that has a datagram has been discarded. Second, it warns the source that is congestion is somewhere in the path and that the source should slow down the sending process. Third is a time exceeded. The time exceeded message is generated in two cases. A router uses a routing tables to find the next hop that must receive the packet. If there are errors in some one or more routing tables, the packet can travel in a loop or a cycle, going from one router to the next or visiting the series of the routers endlessly. We have seen that each datagram contains a field called the time to live. The controls in this situation. When the datagram visits a router, the value of its field is decremented by 1. When the time to live value reaches 0, after determining, the router discards the datagram. However, when a datagram is discarded, the time exceed message must be sent by the router to the original sources. Second, the time exceed message is also generated when not all the fragments that make up a message arrive at the destination host within a certain time limit. Next is a parameter problem. Any ambiguity in the header part of the datagram can create a serious problem as the datagram travels through the internet. If a router or a destination host discovers an ambiguous or missing a value of any field of a datagram, it discards the datagram and sends a parameter problem message back to the source. Redirection. When a router needs to send a packet designed for another network, it must know the IP address of the next appropriate router. The same is true if the sender is a host. Both routers and host then must have a routing table to find the address of the router to the next router. Routers take part in the routing update process. We will see shortly in the preceding chapters that are supposed to be updated constantly. Routing is dynamic. However, for efficiency, hosts do not take part in a routing update process because there are many more hosts in the internet than routers. Updating the routing tables of a host dynamically produce unacceptable traffic. The host usually use a static routing. When a host comes up, its running routing table has a limited number of entries. When a host, it usually knows the IP address of only one router and the default router. For this reason, hosts may send a datagram in which is designed for the another network to the wrong router. In this case, a router that receives the datagram will forward the datagram to the correct router. However, to update the routing table of its host, it sends a redirection message to the host. As you can see this, it is a redirection message. This concept is shown in this figure. Here, our host A wants to send the datagram to the host B. A router R2 is obviously most efficient routing choice, but host A did not choose the router R2. The datagram goes to R1 instead of R2. The router R1, after consulting the table, finds that the packet should have gone through R2. It sends the packet to the R2 and then same time sends the redirection message to the host that you should follow this direction. So host A's routing table now be updated. So our traffic will go this direction. Right? Queries. In addition to error reporting, ICMP can diagnose some network problems. This is accomplished through the query message. A group of the 4 different pairs of a message is shown in this figure. In this type of a ICMP message, a node sends a message that is answered in a specific format by the destination node. A query message is encapsulated in the IP packet, which in turn is encapsulated in the data link frame. However, in this case, no bytes of original IP are included in the message. Fine. So you just see this figure. So there are 4 different types: echo request and reply, timestamp request and reply, address mask request and reply, and router solicitation and advertisement. Okay, so it is our end of our session. Let's revise our discussion. We started our discussion with our mapping of physical to the logical address. We started with RARP, then we go for a boot P, then we go for a DHCP, in which static and dynamic address discuss, and manual and automatic allocation is also there. Then we introduce an ICMP protocol. We discuss a message format. We discuss an error reporting. What are the error reporting messages? We have discussed. Then we have an important points for the error messages and contents of the data field for our error messages. We have discussed an each of error message in detail, a redirection concept, then on query messages. 4 different query messages are there, and encapsulation of a ICMP query messages. So it is a question for you. Write down in your notebook and send back it to me as per the given direction. Okay students, see you in the next session. Thank you.